Make it 2 losses in a row for the New York Knicks as they fell to the Celtics in Beantown 133-123 on Friday. In that loss, there was a change to the starting lineup and a late injury to Jalen Brunson. Now, there's plenty to talk about around the Knickerbockers. So let's do it with the Dean of Knicks Film School. That would be Jonathan Macri, who joins me now. J-Mac, what's going on?
Oh, I'm reeling, just like all Knicks fans who had to endure these last 2 games. Not too much fun, but hopefully the level of competition going down just a tad will bring some nicer things as we move along here in December.
Yeah, looking on social media after this recent loss to the Celtics wasn't a lot of fun. Now, as I said, the Knicks, they lost to the Celtics again this season. They're 0-3 against their division rivals. New York, they're now 0-5 against Boston and Milwaukee, and they have a 2-9 record against teams with winning records. Are you concerned, J-Mac, about those numbers, and does the team's recent performances this week against the Bucks and Celtics show that they're a middling team in the conference right now?
Oh, my goodness. Middling. It's like going on a date and hearing that someone really likes your personality. It's not the words you want to hear at all. Look, I think like 20 teams in the league right now you could define as middling. There's 5 really good teams or so, 5 not so great teams, and everybody else is in the middle. And I think the Knicks, like a lot of those teams, on any given night, they could rise up to their competition if they're playing a really good team, or they could rise down to their competition if they're playing a bad team, which we saw the Knicks do against Detroit right before this in-season tournament started. I wouldn't worry just yet. I think we've seen enough good signs from the Knicks. I think the bones are good. Their net rating is still a top 10 net rating, barely, but it is. I just don't think that they are on the level of these, whatever you want to call it, 4, 5, 6 teams at the top of the league that when they turn it on, and boy, oh boy, were the Bucks and Celtics on in these 2 games, the Knicks are just going to have a tough time keeping up unless they play pretty perfectly, and the Knicks did not in either of these games.
They did not indeed, and there's levels to this, as we always say. We'll see if the Knicks at some point can level up. But before the start of Friday night's game, Tom Thibodeau, he announced a new starting lineup as Quentin Grimes was replaced in the starters by Dante DiVincenzo. Grimes, now, he was more aggressive off the bench, scoring 13 points. Yeah. But the starters overall, they struggled. Was the change to the starting lineup the right move for the Knicks at this time?
I think it probably was. Grimes, to his credit, said he thought the move was right, which whether he believes that or not, good job by him kind of touting the company line. I think he had lost confidence. And I think for as much as we could talk about him getting more shots on the second unit or, him getting, the ball passed to him more, just generally more ball movement in that second unit, I think this was just about him being aggressive and him kind of realizing, hey, I don't really have much else to lose. I've already lost my job. If I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out slinging. And he did last night. I mean, he was really aggressive. He's the most aggressive we've seen him probably all year. And I think when you are on the court with R.J. Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley, and that's nothing against those guys, it's different than being on the court with Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, who are 2 guys that are certainly all-star caliber players, maybe all-NBA caliber players. We'll see if Brunson makes it this year. So I think maybe that it was a little easier for Grimes to put up shots and not feel like he is taking food off of anyone else's plate who quote-unquote deserves it more. Still want to wait and see how, give me a good 10-game sample size, and then maybe we'll check back then.
Yeah, we will definitely check back then and see how things are going with the starters and also the bench unit, see what the numbers are around that time with Grimes moving to the bench. Now, this is something Knicks fans were a little bit not thrilled about. Late in Friday's game, Jalen Brunson rolled his ankle when the Knicks were down 12 with about 20 seconds left. His status is currently unknown, but after the game, Tibbs said he didn't regret having his point guard in the game during garbage time. The Knicks head coach, you know this, J-Mac, he's known for having his starters in deep into garbage time, but are his tactics of playing starters late in games that have already been decided something fans should be concerned about?
To me, this is a symptom of who Tom Thibodeau is. It is not this is a man who wakes up every day and it is just about how can I win? I want to win every second of every minute of every game. And in his mind, he's not thinking, oh, it's, 20-something seconds left. I should probably pull my starters. He's thinking, what can I do to win the next possession? Is that always a good thing? Obviously not, because if Jalen Brunson misses a game or multiple games, God forbid, it could really be something that becomes more of a story. But I think, in terms of should fans be concerned about this particular thing, at this point, what are we, 3+ years into the Tom Thibodeau era? You're either a Tibbs guy or you're not. And he only has one mode. He doesn't know how to be any different than how he is. And, if anything, I think this is one of those instances where maybe one of the assistant coaches should come to him and say, listen, might be time to call a timeout here. I don't know how their bench dynamic works. I don't know if Tom would have, snapped to one of them or whatever the case may be. But if Brunson misses a game here, or again, multiple games, I'm sure Tibbs is going to have some regret, even if he doesn't admit it publicly.
Yeah, well, we will see if anything changes on that front. But the experience has been what it has been thus far with Thibodeau in terms of playing players late into games that have already been decided. Last thing for me here, John. Knicks defense, especially guarding the three, hasn't looked good in particular in the last 2 games. Those games now, they were against 2 of the favorites in the East. But what's your level of concern surrounding the Knicks defense, and how do they fix their current issues on that side of the ball?
Yeah, I think they're susceptible to teams that are very comfortable firing away from deep. But not only that, I think teams that obviously can employ a stretch 5, which Brook Lopez, Kristaps Porzingis both qualify as that. And then just teams that are really good moving the ball and putting the ball on the floor and passing, because the Knicks are usually pretty good after the first domino falls, maybe even after the second. But once you get 3, 4, 5 passes into a possession, eventually you're probably going to make them crack, because for as great as Mitchell Robinson has been, he is neutralized, especially against, or specifically against stretch 5s. And they don't have any other really high caliber defenders anywhere. Grimes is good, but he's kind of a little small for what they ask him to do. Josh Hart is solid. I wouldn't call him an elite defender either. So when you get beat as often as they do at the point of attack, and you see the Knicks getting into rotations, eventually the dam is going to crack. And again, it goes back to what we talked about at the start. Against these elite teams, those sorts of teams are going to make them pay more than certainly bad teams, and even a lot of the middling teams, to use your word from the top. So, like I said, step down to competition. I have a feeling that we are not going to be as concerned about the Knicks defense come a week or 2 from now.
All right, we will see what the vibes are then. Next up for the Knicks, they've got the Raptors, who they host, and then they go on a 5-game road trip, which I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about before they head out west. That is Jonathan Macri, the dean of Knicks Film School, always giving me great insight around the Knickerbockers. John, be well. I hope the vibes are better for you. You are not a middling person. The Knicks might be a middling team, but, they'll figure things out. I don't know about we. I'm doing fine. I'm not middling, but they'll figure things out, hopefully.
My goal in life, don't be middling. Top or bottom, that's where I exist. Nowhere in the middle.
There you go. Don't want to be in the middling. Thanks, John. Appreciate it, man.
Later, Dex. Thanks.
All right.